Buddy, we're live. Good evening. Welcome to Fatty's Funhouse. I'm your Uncle Fatty, John Vincent. Aside of me is my friend Hillary, and our guest tonight is actor and prostate cancer activist Ken Bray. Ken, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
It's an honor to have you on, and it's so nice to finally see you after having some communication. Um, you have such a super interesting background. Actor, singer, which I didn't know, but on my drive here, I had Ivory playing.
Really?
I did. I was doing market research / homework to be prepared.
Uh-huh.
So super interesting background and prostate cancer advocate, correct?
Yes, prostate cancer. I'm a little taken aback by the fact that all the songs you heard was Sweet Ivory.
You know, I had some questions about that and like the title. I was like, what does that mean? Where's this coming from? And then I heard a number of them, but I was very impressed, and you have a very dynamic background. So I'm so excited to talk to you and kind of get a little bit more information and hear your story. So how do you like to introduce yourself? Excuse me.
I think it's contextual. Um, I do a lot of things, and depending on who I'm talking to or what the situation is, that's how I introduce myself. In most cases these days, I introduce myself as an actor. But if I'm on, if I'm on in a health conscious environment, then I'll introduce myself as a prostate cancer advocate. I rarely introduce myself as a musician. I mean, that only comes up if someone was digging in my background and asked something about it. But other than that, no, the musician part of me is kind of
Tucked away a little bit.
Yeah, I've kind of stepped away from that a little bit.
Now, when you were like in your prime with that, I mean, were you putting out singles, albums, play with a band?
I did a couple of it's rap, so I mean,
Okay.
I don't have a band. I did a couple of albums, some singles. There's a couple of music videos out there, so yes, there's a video for Sweet Ivory.
Did you like? I don't know if this is like politically correct or not, but is that like a like towards women, like that title specifically?
It's actually it's kind of a conglomeration of various online experiences.
Okay.
It's like it's when I rapped, I was into telling stories, and it was the story of like an online kind of meetup kind of thing.
Interesting, because I was like, I'm sweet and I'm somewhat ivory. Is there something to this?
We'll leave that part up to interpretation.
There you go.
Now, like your style of rapping, like, are you like old school rap, like let's say like Run DMC, Sugar Hill Gang, or like
I think it's
new school, like '90s maybe?
I think somewhere in the middle of between kind of the 80s and 90s style would be my best guess. But I have trouble describing myself, so I leave that up to my 5 listeners out there
Okay.
who know those songs.
We have number 6 and 7 now.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey, my bank account.
Do you write all your own lyrics?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. So
I write all the Hillary stuff.
Oh, you're a ghost. Oh, so you're her ghostwriter.
Yeah, well, not really anymore because I'm also playing on them too.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm a guitarist, I also play bass and,
Nice.
whatever else needs to come into play there.
You're a musical jack of all trades.
absolutely is.
I tried to. The only thing that I really haven't gotten into was drums.
Really?
Yeah.
Drums are where it's at. I can't play myself, but it's
That might be too much exercise for a guy of my size. You know what I mean?
Oh, is that what we're going with?
Yeah, I'll take that one. But,
I played the drums, right?
what's that?
I played the drums, right?
I have a general understanding of how to play.
Mostly air in the car for my son.
Right.
That's the type of drumming I do. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the best kind.
Yeah.
But I actually, floor tapping, like That's more like my style of drumming.
Okay.
You know, to try and kind of figure out beat and whatever else.
Okay. I'm my genre is rap, so the drums always come first. It's always the drums, and we layer everything on top of it after that. So there will always be a special place in my heart for the drum.
Do you play any instruments?
No, I program. I produce my own music, but it's all programming. So you will not see me playing live.
So basically, like your DAW would be like FL Studio stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha. I actually tinkered around with that a little bit. Couldn't get that either.
Really,
Yeah, that's just not my thing.
really.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I had pads, I might be a genius with it.
No, I couldn't. So I use a program called Vision, uh, and I think there's a smaller version of it. No, actually, I use Logic, and the smaller version is called Vision. But it's a sequencer program. It's a bunch of drum sounds, some bass sounds, and I'll just sit down and make a beat, and then just kind of layer things on top of it, layer the vocals and all the other bits and pieces. Sometimes it's Sweet Ivory, and other times it's not.
Sometimes it's signed Sincerely Me.
Oh, so you know that one too? Yeah, that one is that was I think that was my re-entry into music was Sincerely Me.
But you mentioned you're taking a musical break at the moment, right?
Yeah, sure.
So, so what are you working on, Mr. Bray? I actually saw you were in Captain America, right?
Yes, I was. My big scene was actually cut, and so I remained in the post credits. Um, and I did not. So as an actor, personally and professionally, I am not necessarily married to the projects that I'm on, and I understand that it's a business. And when I was cast in Captain America, which was my first, excuse me, my first big boy um, acting gig, I was in a scene. I played a security guard, and I actually had a scene with Captain America with Chris Evans, and my scene was, I was allowing people into the museum, and I didn't recognize him, and so I just kind of I was letting people in, and when he came up in line, I stopped him and said, "Hold on, we gotta wait for some more people to go in," that kind of thing. Um, but when the movie came, but that was based on the premise of us not knowing that Steve Rogers was Captain America. But when the movie came out, they sort of retooled the characters to where the public knew the secret identity of all of the different characters. So a scene where I didn't recognize him didn't make any sense.
Hmm.
So it got cut. And the good news is I got paid the same regardless. But the bad news was, I had this one scene, kind of mano a mano with Chris Evans that made it it's in the on the cutting room floor somewhere at Marvel Studios.
Oh man, yes, it's like,
At least it was work.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so curious to hear, how does somebody get cast in a major production like Captain America? Like, what was the process like for that? Where did you start? How did you find out about the audition? What was the audition process like? Because that's a major feature film.
Well, it depends on it depends on what level you are in. So at that time, this was, we shot Winter Soldier. Wow, it's been more than 10 years ago now. But that particular movie, I was what's called a featured background actor. And that was the very, very beginning of my career. And, a lot of actors start out that way. Um, and so featured background actors are cast generally from like public casting calls. So you'll see something on Facebook or, wherever that says, hey, casting for a new Marvel movie. You know, at the time we were doing in-person auditions. They're like, you cast for this new Marvel movie, go to such and such a location and audition. You get there, they give you a script. You just went into a room, stand in front of some people, say a couple of lines, and they go, okay, next, you get out, and I got cast. But that's to be, essentially what's called a background actor. To be, I guess, the next level above a background actor is what's called a day player. It's paid more. And to get a day player role, you need an agent. Typically, you need an agent. And, there's agents that I would refer to as beginner agents or starter agents. That represents actors that aren't in the union yet and they're just kind of at the beginning parts of their career, so they're starting to take things seriously. Those type of agents will get you like a day player role in a movie where you're what it sounds like. You're on set for maybe a day. Um, you're playing a specific character. You probably will have lines, and you probably will be clearly in the movie. And the level above that are going to be like supporting actors, and that you definitely need an agent, and you typically will need an agent above a starter agent. And you typically will either need to be in the actors union or you'll be on your way to being in the actors union to get a supporting role. And then to get a starring role in one of those movies, you need one of the probably 5 top tier agents in the country or world. And those leading roles, they come through those agencies. And I haven't made it to that level yet. I'm at the
Soon.
I'm in an advanced agent role. I'm in the union, and
That was my next question.
yes, I'm a member of SAG. I don't have my wallet on me, but I have my SAG card. It's still a thing, and they still do physical cards. And but yeah, I'm in the union, and my agent, the agent that I'm with now, will get me auditions for excuse me, for supporting roles, and I've gotten auditions for lead roles in moderate budget and in moderate budget movies. But these major movies, I'm still working my way up to a lead role in one of those.
How do you, is it okay if I,
Sure.
so curious to hear, how do you go from background actor to, what's the next level? You mentioned
Day player.
day player. How did you make that leap?
It's incremental. So you have to go out when you're doing background work. Um, you have to sit a grind and just find it however you can find it. I went to an audition. I got booked in. I got cast in that, and then you leverage that. You add it to your resume. You leverage that to get an agent. And it took me a few years of grinding and doing some free projects and things like that, and building a little bit of a social media presence. I did a documentary, my prostate cancer documentary. I did that, so I had a little bit of a presence on social media, and I was able to use that that presence, along with a friend of mine who introduced me to her agent, and she just. I really wasn't taking it seriously at the time. It was really kind of just a side thing that I was doing part time, and a friend of mine just she had seen some of my social media stuff, and she was like, "Hey, you've got a look. Have you ever thought about getting into acting?" And I said, "No, I haven't because oh no," she said, "Had I ever thought about getting an agent?" And I was like, "No, I really haven't because the only experience that I knew about agents at that time was like I'm not going to mention any names, but they're the agents that I'm a child of the '80s. These agents are like at the mall, at the shopping malls."
Right.
And they're kind of predatory. You go down to a meeting, they tell you got to look, blah, 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 blah. And then they tell you, you need acting classes or modeling classes for $1,000 or whatever. And so that's all I knew of it. And, and she said, "No, I have a serious agent. They happen to be doing a open call for new talent. You should probably go down and check them out." And I went down and they signed me on the spot.
Wow.
And that was it. I mean, it was the
That's
beginning.
insane.
Yeah.
Did you prepare a monologue, or did you just
No,
show up and
I
have
was
some lines, or
yeah, I was completely green. I didn't know how any of it worked, and I was so skeptical. I really was unprepared, and so I went and and I had printed out some shots from my Instagram page, and I went down and talked to them, and they were like, "Hey, we like you," um, and they signed me to a contract. And there's no money up front. There was at no point did anyone, say, "Hey, I need acting classes or modeling." None of that. They just signed me for a contract, and they started sending auditions my way, and that was kind of the real beginning of me being a professional actor.
How many years ago was this?
This would be, I think, 7 or 8 years ago now. I'm starting to lose track.
So acting wasn't something that was necessarily always in the cards for you. It wasn't like, I know some people, kind of like myself, they know when they're a child that they want to be a performer in some way, shape, or form. That
It,
was not your.
it was, but it wasn't. So when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor, and I wanted to be a director and a writer. And I really, I was, in love with sci-fi. I was a huge Star Wars fan, and I'd written several screenplays when I was in like middle school. I mean, I was really into it. I got to the point where I was like studying soundtracks. And for a brief moment, from in the 90s going into the 2000s, I actually directed a few short films. Um, but nothing really ever didn't really ever came of it. And all that work was kind of behind the camera. And so I just kind of walked away from it until, you know, someone suggested I get in front of the camera and go talk to their agent. And now here we are, actually making a living at something that I really didn't think that I'd be making a living at.
Now, how important is like Los Angeles to an actor?
That is controversial, I would say, to say the least. It's
Okay.
not as important as it used to be.
Okay.
And we can thank COVID for that. So prior to COVID, auditions were always in person, right? Hey, we're looking for somebody to play, this part in this movie. And since most movies at the time were being shot in LA, then if you needed to audition for a part, you had to be in LA to audition for this movie. And so because of that, everybody that even thought about being a serious actor packed up and moved to LA. But
Okay.
then when COVID happened, and when I first started acting, I was going to my agent's office to do auditions. They would bring the casting directors would come to the office, but I was doing mostly commercials. And so the agents would come, or the casting directors would either come to the agent's office and we'd audition there, or the agent would videotape our auditions and send them to the casting director. But so I got my experience doing in-person auditions. But when COVID happened and we were quarantined, they switched it and kind of cut the agents out of the equation as far as recording of videos. And they just said, hey, we're now introducing this thing called a self-tape audition. And they were like, so however you're cooped up in your house anyway, so however you can, build a makeshift studio, and here's the script, do the audition in your studio, in your house, and email it to us. And then we're going to forward it on to the casting director. And so that became a thing, and my auditions were better because my entire experience was for social media was recording myself. So I was used to doing that because I only had, and so I already had the stuff set up because I was shooting stuff for my social media anyway. So it's just a smooth transition. And so because of that, the industry shifted, and when COVID ended, self-tape auditions remained the same. They didn't go back to, people still do in-person auditions, but the vast majority of auditions are now self-tape. There'd be a Zoom or some version of Zoom. And so because of that, I can audition for roles in LA without having to be in LA. If I get cast in the part, then I fly to LA and do the part. I've done several. I'm based in Cleveland, but I've shot all over the country. I've shot, commercials in San Francisco, LA, movies in Chicago, Pittsburgh. It's and all of my auditions happen here in my studio, and so I can do any audition, and when it's time to go and shoot, the production is covering travel costs, and so they just fly me to wherever, and I shoot, and I fly back home. And the cost of living, the cost of living in Cleveland is a lot less than LA. So yeah, I personally don't have to be in LA. And your bigger stars they don't live in LA. Your Robert Redford, he's the late Robert Redford, and a lot of these actors, Tom Cruise does not live in LA. He may have a house in LA that he stays in if he's in LA shooting something, but they're not in LA. And it really, it's kind of bittersweet because the industry, I think the last stat that I saw was that productions in LA were down something like 35%, which is bad.
Yeah, that's very bad.
The major studios are struggling. You heard about the Paramount sale to Sky, I think it is, Skydance or something like that. And that was brought on by COVID. And then right after COVID, we got hit with the actor strike that really did damage. A lot of productions moved overseas, and LA is not what it used to be. And movies aren't really, as many movies aren't really shot in LA anymore either. And that's the other problem.
Well, also Netflix is moving into the New Jersey market.
Yeah.
Actually, probably about 20 minutes from where we are at right now.
Yeah.
Netflix is putting a major studio in.
Yeah.
And also, there's another one in northern New Jersey. It's either...
I think it's Bayonne, if I'm not mistaken. Or like Weehawken, somewhere up north a little bit.
It's either in construction now or just opened.
Point is, 10, 15 years ago, you mostly had to be in LA or New York City or one of the two to really take this seriously. But now the avenues have opened up in such a way that you can really do this from anywhere in the world, right?
Now. Absolutely. And that's the game changer. I mean, it's, like I said, it's bittersweet because there is kind of this nostalgia surrounding LA and Hollywood. But I mean, think about, your top movies over, for the last few years, how many of them are based in Hollywood, right? And what used to happen was that a movie would be based in Cleveland, but it's actually filmed in Hollywood or in LA on a back lot somewhere. But nowadays, if the movie's based in Cleveland, they probably are shooting it in Cleveland. And I was a show that I was in, Mayor of Kingstown. I never got to find out if Kingstown is a real place or not. But one season, Mayor of Kingstown was shot in Erie, Pennsylvania. And in the season that I was on board, it was shot in Pittsburgh. And so, and all of the Marvel movies up until this past year were shot in Atlanta. But they take place in Wakanda and Zenobia, every place else except Earth, but they're filmed in Atlanta. And LA is kind of taking the heat for that.
What's your favorite project that you've been on? Because it sounds like you have been like little Dora the Explorer over there, kind of like globetrotting all over the place. What's your most memorable?
Quite honestly, my favorite project to date was it was a non-speaking role, and I played a dignitary on WWE SmackDown. I played a dignitary for Logan Paul. I was one of his esteemed dignitaries during this ceremony thing. You know how wrestling is so, over dramatic, and he had this ceremony. I was one of his dignitaries for this ceremony, and that was so fun. It was it was in front of a sold out crowd, 30,000 people or something like that, and I'm in the ring just trying to keep a straight face, and that was probably the most fun.
Can I ask why?
Pardon me?
Can I ask why that was your favorite?
It's because I'm normally in front of a camera and a director and writers, and it's a completely different vibe when I'm actually shooting a commercial or a movie or something like that. And It's quiet. It's controlled. Um, it's very kind of high pressure. Um, but this was different. I mean, we had a script, even though I didn't have any lines. We still had a script, but it was different. It was fun, and it was kind of controlled chaos because you don't really know for sure what the crowd's going to do, how the crowd's going to react, um, and plus I was, when I was younger, I was a fan of wrestling, so being in the ring, at a major wrestling event in and of itself was cool. But yeah, just being out in front of a live crowd, and of course there were people in the crowd that knew me, and it was on live TV. So there are people at home. My phone is blowing up because oh my God, kid, I just saw you on wrestling in the ring, and so it was just a lot of fun. And a lot of times when I'm shooting, it's cool, but sometimes it's just not fun. It's just work. But that didn't feel like work that night. It felt like I was just playing.
Well, like you said, controlled chaos.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I was actually on TV for 2 wrestling events for ECW.
Nice.
Back in the whole Joey Styles era. I actually was on TV. There was a match, Honky Tonk Man versus Bubba Ray Dudley. And the Honky Tonk Man basically belted Bubba Ray with his guitar, and it bounced off Bubba's head and hit me in the nose.
Oh, no. So you got hit in the nose by Honky Tonk Man?
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Because, like I said, the guitar bounced off Bubba Ray Dudley's head and bounced into the crowd. And I really wasn't paying attention to what was going on. All of a sudden, this guitar hits me in the nose.
No. If you're a wrestling man, you gotta pay attention. You can get anything out of that ring if you're close.
Oh yeah, I was in the first the first 2 rows, ringside, and it was just like crazy.
Yeah, and those rows you have to have splash guards and everything else when you're that close to wrestling. You'll get spit on, debris is going to catch you. Everything.
Anything will happen.
It sounds horrible. I don't know what you guys are talking about. You guys are like, oh, this is so fun. You're talking about getting slapped in the face and spit on, and I don't know if I want to be a part of this.
That's a guy thing.
Yeah.
Horribly awesome. Horribly awesome, maybe,
Yeah.
but okay.
So what are you working on now? Do you have any projects coming up, or I know you said you were writing at one point.
Right now I have a bunch of auditions that are in the winds. I mean, I'm not a person who believes in luck, but I can't think of a better word. I don't want to jinx it by naming any of the projects.
Yeah.
But right now, things have kind of slowed down a little bit going into, rolling into the holidays, and I'm assuming they'll start picking back up. I mean, even the auditions that I have out are, they're for projects that aren't shooting until next year. So right now I am relaxing at home, enjoying my peace and quiet, because when the chaos rolls in, it rolls in a hurry.
Is this like the quietest time of year in the industry, you would say?
Yeah, tail end of the year, going into the fourth quarter things slow down. When it gets cold, things slow down, and I kind of go into hibernation. It's fine because I can enjoy the holidays.
Yeah, for sure. Now, when you and I spoke on the phone, I know that your advocacy within prostate cancer is exceptionally important to you, and I'm sure you want to probably go over that a little bit. I told John a little bit about what we talked about. So what do you want people to know about your advocacy, and you mentioned being diagnosed and treatment and blood work and all these different things, and I know that's something that you really wanted to educate people on. So I'm going to kind of let you take the floor.
Okay. Well, prostate cancer is one of the most, well, of course it's a male-specific cancer, and it is very, very, very treatable. But yet, men die from it at an alarmingly high rate, and African American men died from it at a rate something like 4 times higher than other ethnicities, and it's absolutely treatable. And before I was diagnosed, um, the best man at my wedding um, died from prostate cancer when he was in his 30s, if I'm not mistaken. And just last year, my father died from prostate cancer, and our best guess is that he had it for decades before he had it treated. And it's a very common condition. I don't know where the stats lie as far as if it's the most common cancer in men, but it is something that if you stay regular or routine with your exams, your physical exams, then it can be detected early, and in most cases, it can be treated early with no real adverse side effects. And as far as treatment goes, part of the reason that I think that it's gotten so bad is because of the stigma behind the prostate cancer test. And I was just at a comedy show, and the comedian was talking about, he's in his 50s now, and now he has to have a physical, and does this whole bit about the digital rectal prostate cancer exam.
Right.
And the reality is that that's not how you detect it these days. It's great for comedy, but that's not detected. But the general understanding.
I think there's a little buffer on your end, Ken.
Can you hear me?
Now I can, yes.
Can you hear me now?
Now we can, yes.
Okay. But yeah, I think the general consensus in the community is that if you go to a doctor and say, "Hey, I want to be tested for prostate cancer,"
It's the Wi-Fi on Ken's end.
I feel confident he'll come back to us.
Yeah.
Are you there?
Okay.
Did we-
Okay. Yeah, you were
Wait,
like,
here we are. It
yes.
seems like as soon as are we okay? I'm gonna try. But no, it's just in the community. I think the consensus or the belief, the misunderstanding is that if you go to a doctor and you say, "I want to be tested for prostate cancer," I think the belief is that you're going to get the finger up the poop chute, and that is not the test.
Right.
And so that gives far too many men an excuse not to go get checked. And I've heard men say they don't want to get tested because they don't want to hear bad news, and they feel fine, so there's nothing to worry about. And prostate cancer is one of those cancers. One, it's a rare cancer that can be detected with a blood test. That's how we find out about it. And two, it's one of those cancers that when you start to get symptoms, it's too late. And that is the big deal, is that when I was diagnosed, it was through a blood test. I
Again. Like I said, we're still moving
Frozen,
around.
yeah.
We're still moving around. He's freeze framed.
Oh no, we lost him.
Let me I'm gonna send him another link.
Now I'm cold.
Okay. So we lost Ken for a second here. I'm going to re-invite.
can see.
Okay, we're back.
There we are. I can see
All
you.
right. All right, we got you now.
Okay. So all I was saying was that when I was diagnosed, it was through a blood test, and I would have 1 year every year. I just got a physical, and I would get my triglycerides and LDL and HDL. I would get all that tested, and my PSA was also. I requested that be added to the list, and so every year I just got my PSA tested. And 1 year they're like, "Hey, your PSA is a little elevated," and I was like, "Okay, what does that mean?" They're like, "It means we need to have you biopsy to see if maybe you have prostate cancer." And I was biopsied, and they were like, "Yes, you have prostate cancer." And it was caught so early that I had the opportunity to decide, take my time and decide on, how I wanted to be treated, when I wanted to be treated. It wasn't emergent, and but I had no symptoms through the entire journey.
I was
The
just gonna
only
ask you, did you feel differently, like tired, any symptomatic?
No,
That,
I was actually diagnosed. I had just started competing professionally in powerlifting, and I was diagnosed while I was in training for my first competition, and I got the results of my biopsy the Monday after I had just won the gold medal in Atlanta. I came back home and went to the doctor, and she's like, "Yeah, you have cancer, dude." I was like, "Okay, I've been training and competing with cancer." And I continued to compete while I had the cancer, and it had zero effect on anything. And I went out, you know, one competition a month for 7 straight months, and I was winning. And I had no symptoms. I didn't feel any weird way, other than, the emotional toll of knowing that I had cancer. But I was dealing with it through the whole journey. And at no point did I have symptoms. All the way up through, my treatment ultimately was I had a radical.
Here we go again.
Yep, and we're back here.
Okay.
I don't know if it's my connection or your connection, but
We're
yeah, I had so
pretty
my
good over
treatment.
here.
I'm gonna try to wrap this. Okay, so it must be me. I'm replaying my connection.
It's okay.
But ultimately, I chose treatment, surgery. I had a radical prostatectomy, and
Ken, do I need to FedEx you a mobile hotspot at the moment?
Let's see. Hope you don't dip out again.
These things happen, right?
all right,
This is a very interesting story.
I think I'm back again.
Okay, I could hear you.
That's the internet.
Yeah, the wonders of the internet.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you fine. Can hear
Wonders
you
of the
fine.
internet. Okay.
So
Okay.
for
And so yes, I had my prostate removed.
Okay.
that does not sound like a pleasant experience. So in order for other men to prevent this from happening, just remind us what the name of the blood test is again, so our listeners can, hopefully, because I know advocacy is important to you.
It is a PSA test. That stands for prostate specific antigen.
Okay.
It is literally a checkbox on a list of blood tests that any man that goes and has his blood tested for triglycerides and everything else. You can just simply say, "Hey, can you check me for run a PSA test?" Or you can just say, "Check me for prostate cancer," and they'll say, "Oh, you need a PSA," and they'll check it. And that's it.
I was actually thinking about you, 2 nights ago, because my fiance, he had his annual physical, and he came back and he said, "Yeah, no, our doctor said like risk of prostate cancer is almost non-existent," and he said it was blood work. And I was waiting to talk to you to find out exactly, because I know you mentioned it's like a very specific test and not, what most people think it is. I'm gonna try not to, in your I'll just say, in your words, up the pooper, right? So when I hearing you say that it was a blood test, that's interesting. And this is not something that most doctors normally check for, or is this standard within the annual physical for men?
It is. It should be standard. They don't do it, and I don't know why they don't do it. Because it should, just like women should get a mammogram every 3 years, I think it is. That men should just automatically, when a man, I would say 35 years or older, goes to get a physical and get blood work done, it should automatically be something that you just check for, because it's so easy to find it out and so easy to treat if you catch it early enough. But if you wait until it metastasizes, spreads to other parts of your body, then it's usually too late, and that's where we lose a lot of our men.
After the surgery, what was the treatment plan like? What's the protocol for like that?
Well, I was competing, so I had the surgery in December, and I was back in competition at the Arnold in March. So 3 months
Arnold?
later, yeah, I was 3 months later. I was back on stage at the Arnold.
What division? Are you physique or?
No, not bodybuilding. I was powerlifting. So,
I did not know the Arnold held powerlifting.
yeah, it's a little bit of everything. But yeah, I was in the Ohio Classic at the Arnold, and I got the invite while I was in the hospital recovering from the surgery, and then I went immediately into training. I was in the hospital for 3 days, and when I was discharged from the hospital, I went right back into training, and I was back in competition shape. I wasn't in the best shape, but I was in competition shape. It was good enough to I got the silver at the Arnold, but it was, within 3 months, I was back lifting heavy weights and in competition shape. So a testament to early.
Yeah, it's
Now my lazy ass feels guilty for just lounging about on the couch for an hour, right? Meanwhile, this guy's cancer, actor, powerlifter. What's our excuse? Like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? What the fuck, man?
3 months after surgery, he's ready to go.
Seriously, have you always been like this? I mean, motivated, inspired. What drives you?
I had a little bit of actually, the cancer really inspired me. So I was diagnosed right after I got divorced. So I was married for 20 years, and I got divorced.
The words divorced froze it.
Apparently, yeah.
But at least if it dips out, he can rejoin because he has the
And
wings.
it was there. I'm back again.
Okay.
I have no idea what was causing that, but no, I got divorced, and so I was going. It was already a stressful time because I was, going through this big transition. I started school. I was going to go to school to be a doctor, and this was later in life. This wasn't when I was in my 20s, and there's a lot of stress happening all at once. And then I was diagnosed with cancer, and I knew nothing about it. All I knew about it was that, my buddy from high school, my best man at my wedding, that he died from it. That's all I knew. And so when I was first diagnosed, I was like, this is it. I'm going to die. I'm going to die from prostate cancer. And I didn't. Spoiler alert. But what it did was...
Got it for that.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here.
Thank you. But what it did, it changed my outlook. Because what happened when I was like, okay, this is it. I don't know how much longer I have. So at this point, if anybody asks me to do anything or go someplace, I'm going. I'm not saying no. And it was just the most random, hey, dude, we got a cigar and bourbon event. And I was like, I don't drink bourbon or smoke cigars, but you know what? I'm coming anyway. It was literally, anyone would ask me to do anything and I would do it. And I stopped saying no. And I had this freedom that I never felt before. I was literally doing whatever I felt like doing with no fear of consequences, because I literally thought I was going to die within a year.
Just
And
living
so
your best life.
I was living my best life. And it became kind of a life philosophy of mine. It's that, stuff's going to happen. Stuff still happens. But when stuff happens, okay, I just deal with the stuff that happens, but I continue with this, tomorrow's not promised mentality. And, we say that, but it takes a completely different vibe when you actually believe tomorrow's not promised because you just got diagnosed with cancer. And so, I stay motivated and energized and have this kind of childish, enthusiasm about as much as I can, going forward.
But you also roll with the punches as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can't, yes, I have days when, I'm not feeling my best, but all in all, I stay prayerful. I am a believer, and but the ups are greater than the downs, and it's worked for me so far. I haven't died yet.
Thank God.
Amen.
Not for a while. How old were you when you were going through all of this?
I was diagnosed when I was 44.
My gosh, you look like you're 28.
Well, thank you.
You really do.
Seriously. How old are you now? I'm asking.
What? Uh-oh.
Another freeze up.
Wait. Yeah.
Okay.
There I am.
We got you. Okay.
So full remission now.
So you were telling me that I look like I'm 80, and
My son the other day told me
I did.
he thought I was 90. I was like, okay. I was like, wait, hang on a second. I go, Daddy's 42, Grandma's 70, and Grandpa's 80. Do you really think that I'm 80? And he was like, no, you're 90. I was like, oh, okay.
Kids math doesn't work like that. There's no point.
That's fine.
You were like, you little smart
Yeah,
ass.
I know, right? Do you have any children, Ken?
I have, and there is an adult man out there who calls me dad.
Oh. Is he tuning in tonight?
Not a child by any stretch of the imagination. Pardon me?
Is he tuning in tonight?
Uh-oh. I think he might be. He should be. We'll find out.
We'll find out soon, yeah. So
No, he doesn't live with me, so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this
What are you
platform don't show a list of people that are actually tuning in. It just gives you a number and where they're coming from.
Oh, got it.
So I'm so curious. I'm going to kind of like rewind here a little and backtrack. So, you have such an interesting adult life. What brought you there? What were you doing before you kind of, because in your words, almost like fell into acting. What were you doing before? Did you have another daytime job that was within entertainment or something related?
Sort of. So I've done a little bit of everything. So I'm a veteran. So I've been in the Army.
God, it's honestly, you just need to get off the podcast right now because you were making the rest of us look terrible.
This is a movie in itself.
Yeah, seriously.
I was in the Army for 6 years. And when I got out of the Army, I opened a business, graphic design, photography studio. And I did that for probably, 10 or so years. And then I got into publishing. And I published some magazines and newspapers. Worked in the production department in a couple of magazines and newspapers in the Cleveland area. And what's that?
I quite literally didn't think you could get more impressive after you said veteran. And then it went into business owner, publisher.
I've done a few things. I've lived a few lifetimes. I've been blessed.
What's your
And
favorite stage of life? Like, what was your favorite time? Like the favorite, your favorite thing you've done because you have such a
right now,
right now.
this is my favorite. This is my favorite phase of life. Absolutely. Yes, I am. I get to play make believe, and I get paid for it. And I go to the supermarket, and I'm on the wall at the supermarket. I watch the Browns game, and I'm in a TV commercial during the Browns game. That's it's it comes full circle. When I was, middle schooler, thinking about being in movies or making movies. Now I'm an adult, and I can actually see myself in movies, and see myself, on posters and bus stops and the sides of buses, and it's really cool. So yes, this is my favorite job.
That is absolutely cool. I don't think they could
I-
fit me on a bus. That had to be one of them double talls.
A double decker like in
Yeah.
London.
Double decker.
There you go.
So
That's amazing.
yeah,
The train system.
Yeah. Sweet.
It
Do
has
you
been-
ever find yourself out here on the East Coast?
yes. I haven't been out there this year. I was out there. I did a couple of shoots in New York. Wow, it's been a year already. Yeah, I did a shoot with Curtis Blow, one of the godfathers of rap. He did a remake for the song Basketball. I worked on that with him. I did a commercial for a internet services company in New York, and I'm sure there's something else I'm forgetting. But I haven't been out there this year. I mean, I go where the work takes me, and the work hasn't taken me on the East Coast this year.
Well, let us know when you are out here. I swear I'm gonna just throw a party for all of our guests that we've had on they seem to be scattered throughout the country at this point. I'm gonna pick a date and invite you guys all out, and we'll just go have fun in Jersey.
Absolutely, I'll come and dance around.
Has to be a summer month.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we can't. Yeah, we're gonna leave the drug rug in Cleveland, and we're gonna go ahead in tank tops or something. and
There
party.
you go. Nothing like the Jersey Shore in the summertime.
Absolutely.
So I'm so curious to hear. I have so many questions. Is there? I feel like I could ask you questions for the rest of the evening. Is there anything you want to know specifically, John?
Actually, yeah. So now you've done a lot of commercial, you've done a lot of movies, and a lot of in between, like extra work as well, I'm sure. Is there like a specific TV show or genre of movie that you would like to involve yourself with?
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi.
I need to be in a sci-fi movie. I need to, and I've had a few near misses, so we're getting close. But
Real close, right?
yeah. But yeah, I definitely want to be a major character in a sci-fi movie or an action movie. Something needs to blow up. There need to be spaceships or aliens or something. That's truly the coming full circle.
Okay, all of our producer and director friends, we got your guy right here.
Let's do
Ken
it.
Bray, he's ready to do the sci-fi role.
See, now Ken and I were
let's
born in
do
the
it.
wrong decade because, like, when Star Trek was like, relevant, and Star Wars, we were kids.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
I
love it.
Do you do like any specific preparation for these roles? Like, are you professionally trained, or are you just self-taught? Because you said sci-fi. Like, so if you're doing a drama or a comedy, do you take a specific class to hone in on that talent, or you're just gifted in every area of life apparently?
Well, I don't know if I would call myself gifted, but no, I'm not professionally trained. I'm self-taught. But it's a job. I take it. I'm a professional, and I take what I do seriously. But I also understand that I'm essentially paid to pretend to be somebody else, and I'm paid to play make believe, and this is one of the few vocations where there is a almost unlimited uh, source of study guides available. I mean, if if I've been cast to play, a cop in a gangster movie, then there's 100 gangster movies I can just pull up on Netflix and Prime and just watch as character studies. Say, okay, I like that character there. I like how so and so portrayed that character there, and I just do my interpretation of it. But since I've seen so many movies, I derive inspiration from a bunch of different places, and I kind of meld it all together into whatever you see on camera.
I don't see the cop though.
Oh, I've been a cop.
I can see it.
I've been a cop. I was a cop in real life. When I was in the Army, I was a cop.
Stop, Ken. Come on now.
I'm seeing like
Next, he's gonna tell us he won the Nobel next.
right.
Yeah, I wish. We're working on a Nobel.
The next screenplay, apparently. Maybe we can submit it if they even want that.
Like you say, gangster movie, and I'm thinking kind of going back to like a Wesley Snipes in New Jack.
There's a movie that I play a character that's a record producer, and I'm not sure when the movie's called Dirty Rose. I'm not sure when it's going to be released. I haven't gotten word back from production yet, but I play a character that was inspired. At least one scene was inspired by a scene from New Jack City and the Wesley Snipes character, and that was one of the parts of my audition that kind of landed the role.
See now, when you go into like record producers and stuff like that, then you go TV. Lucius Lyon
Mm-hmm.
was like the J.R. Ewing of now.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might not know who
I
that
was
is.
I have no idea what these references are, but I'm
the
here
show
to
Dallas.
listen and enjoy the ride.
The show Dallas, if you're familiar with that.
I'm not. I have another question. Have you ever gone into an audition and just bombed it? Like, is that part of the process, or you're just good at everything you do? That's kind of the hunch I'm getting at this point.
But I missed all that question.
Okay.
I missed all that question.
Have you ever gone into an audition and just bombed it and walked away learning something, or every audition you feel mostly confident and comfortable in?
No, every audition I'm overthinking. Every audition I'm nervous, and some I do. Obviously, I do well in, and I get the parts, and some I don't do so well in. It's part of the process.
Yeah.
I had one audition. One of the ones that I say that got away, I got a call back actually, and it is for a movie starring with David Duchovny in it. I'm a big X-Files fan, so I'm like, oh, I get to work with David Duchovny, and it's like a horror movie, and it's a really cool script. I don't want to give anything away because even though I'm not in it, I still want to see it. But I played one of the heavies in the movie, and the character, the audition, the script that I got, there was a part where one of the other characters makes some homophobic kind of remarks towards me, and the direction was that I get upset and angry when the character says that, and I'm reacting to it. So I reacted to it as if I were homophobic, and I did the audition, and I got the call back, and we're on with the director, and I go through it the way that I did in the audition. He goes, okay, let's do it again, and this time you're like really upset when when he makes those remarks. So I did it again, and I got more upset, and then we move on, and I didn't get the part, and they were like, okay. And when they announced who got the part, I went and looked at some of his work, and the guy who ultimately got the part was a little bit more effeminate than me, and I was like, oh, when the director was saying I get upset when he makes the homophobic comments, it's not because I'm homophobic. It's because my character is gay, and I completely missed that. I would love to play a gay character, right? So it's not like it's something I'm against, but I just didn't get it. And when he was explaining the role to, or when he's giving me direction, he didn't say, "Hey, Ken, you're gay."
It's like, I feel like that's like a pretty important piece of information to know walking into like.
Yeah.
It would be like, hey, you're playing I don't know.
Yeah,
The
you're
role.
you're
It's
playing
the
a gay
description
male.
of the role. Like,
you're playing a gay male, who's and then I'm like, oh, okay, I would have approached it differently when the kid made the homophobic response or remark to me, had I known that. But I was thinking that I was uber masculine, and so I was just getting more and more macho every time I was getting upset. That should have been going kind of the other direction.
Oh no,
we lost him again.
Oh, I can still hear you.
We're actually at almost a minute over.
I can't believe that was like the quickest hour of my life.
Okay, he's back.
I'm back.
I want to get you back on because there's so much more for us to go over.
Absolutely.
So maybe we'll shoot for either the end of December or when we come back from break in January.
Yeah, there's so much to go over here, and we have an hour time slot, and that was probably the quickest hour of my life. Hopefully you enjoyed it just as much as us. I know I certainly enjoyed this.
It was definitely a blast.
I absolutely enjoy hearing myself talk. So thank you very much for having me, and I would absolutely love to come back and share some more randomness about playing gay characters that I didn't know were gay, and so on and so forth.
That'd be a good one to get into. That's kind of like an April Fool's joke.
But yes, this has been a blast. Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Thanks for welcoming me on, and I will come back at the end of December or whenever you come back, and we will keep rolling.
Like I said, I believe our last show for the year would be December 29th, and then we're going to take a 2-week break because I'm doing some renovations in the studio. And then we'll be back, I believe, January 14th. I think that's the date, I believe. So
it's been
maybe I'll have a better internet connection.
What's that?
Okay. I said maybe I'll have a better internet connection by then.
Well, let's hope, right?
Yeah.
But on that note, I'm your boy Fatty. Got Hillary here.
It's been a pleasure and an honor. I wish you didn't have to go, and we could hang out for a little bit more. But thank you so much for being here.
But I can go catch the end of my.
Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to my friend Lauren, who just opened up a business locally in South Amboy, Leone's Italian Sausages. It's 200 North Broadway in South Amboy. They're open Monday through Saturday, 11 to 7. Go check it out for some of the best sausage sandwiches in New Jersey. And on that note, Ken, good night. God bless. Happy holidays to you. And
we'll talk soon.
We'll definitely talk soon.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Ken.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
That went by.